Hello everybody. Today I have the great honor and privilege of sitting here with my mom. Good morning, Mom.
Good morning.
The reason that we're sitting here is we decided to do a video, and we're going to take some time and just go through Mom's life and share some thoughts and some memories that she has of growing up back in Cleveland, Ohio and raising a family of 10. You know, I gotta say that when I think of the people that I've met over the course of my lifetime and the accomplishments that they've achieved, nothing really compares to raising 10 children as you did. You know that?
It was an accomplishment.
It was a really big accomplishment. I mean, you had, at one time, this is what I always tell people. I always tell people that what amazes me the most is that you had 5 children at one time under the age of 5. Is that not correct?
4 years. The oldest was 4 when the 5th child was born.
Right, so you had Carol. Carol was 4 when that would be Bob.
That's right.
When Bob was born. That is something that's it's just unheard of these days. You just really can't imagine. But before we talk more about the children, let's talk a little bit about you, and let's talk about where you were born. And first of all, let's start with today is June 26th or 27th, 2010. How old are you as we shoot this video?
78.
78 and still
Almost
looking
79.
great. 78 and still looking great. All right, and almost 7. You'll be 79 August 12th.
Right.
So you were born August 12th, okay, and you were born in Cleveland, Ohio?
Cleveland Heights, Ohio.
Cleveland Heights, Ohio. What street were you born on?
We lived on South Compton in Cleveland Heights.
South Compton, okay. And was it as I recall, Cleveland was set up in ethnic neighborhoods. Was your neighborhood a certain ethnicity? Was it a predominantly Irish neighborhood, or was it a mix?
I believe that Cleveland Heights at that time was predominantly a Jewish community, the area where I was born.
Okay. And as we all know, you were born into a Catholic family.
That's correct.
Your mother's name was Josephine?
No,
No?
my mother's name was Madeline.
Madeline. Madeline, and what was her middle name?
Frances.
Madeline Francis, and her maiden name?
Macmillan. M-A-C. She was Scotch.
M-A-C-M-I-L-L-I-A-N.
No. M-I-C. No. M-A-C-M-I-L-L-A-N.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, I went to Scotland once and I brought you back what's called a tartar, or a
It's
tartan, or a
tartan,
tartar, which
tartan.
is a fabric or a pattern that is associated with families over there. So your mother, where was she born?
Ingersoll, Ontario, Canada.
Okay. And how did your mother come to arrive in Cleveland? Do you know?
She came over here and lived with her aunt and uncle. He was a Cadillac dealer in Cleveland at that time.
Okay. And did you know much of did you know of your mother's grandmother? Did you have any memories of your grandmother?
Of my grandmother?
Of your grandmother?
Oh, yes.
You do?
Yes, because we spent every summer, from the day school got out, we used to go in, we had a Plymouth, I believe it was a Plymouth, with a rumble seat.
A rumble seat.
In the back, and my brother Dick and I sat in the back of the rumble seat, and my brother Bob, because he was too little, he sat in the front with my mother and dad, and we took the boat across Lake Erie, put the car on the boat, got off there and drove to my grandparents' home. We spent the whole summer there, and then my dad came back and got us just before Labor Day, so we would be home in time to start school.
And what year was this, if we go back, approximately? I mean, what year range are we talking?
Probably in the mid to later 30s, because it was before the war.
Before the war. Now this is before the war and after the Great Depression, right?
Well, it was probably, the Depression lasted for a period of time, so the big crash came in 1929. I was born in 31, and we were still feeling the effects of the Depression because my father lost his job, and probably I was around 4 or 5 when I remember that, so that would be like around 1936.
Okay. So let's take a moment and let's talk about your father. What was your father's name?
Richard Jerome Sawhill, they called him Jerry.
We called him Jerry. And he was from, where was Jerry from, your father?
He was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we have a whole history, family tree you might call it, of our family going way back to the late 1700s when they came and settled in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very interesting to read because there were a lot of bridges and many different things that back there in that part of Pennsylvania that were named after our
Now,
family.
where did they settle from? Where did your grandfather, if you said this already, where did your father settle from? They settled in Pennsylvania, but where did they originate from?
From Ireland.
From Ireland. Do you know where in Ireland?
No, we don't know where because that's interesting. The name as we had it was Sawhill, but when they first came over, Alexander Sawhill, he had a problem with the fact that nobody pronounced the name correctly, nobody spelled it correctly, so he went down to I think they'd called it in those cities the seat of the area, and said, I'll fix this so nobody will misspell or mispronounce it again. And so he made that, Sawhill. So therefore, we don't know what county, we have not been able to find out what county in Ireland that they came from.
Okay.
But he married my grandmother, her name was Blanche Eugenia Murphy, so there's no doubt about what her nationality was.
Do you know how your mother and father met?
Yeah, my father was, before the Depression, he wanted to be an engineer going to Case Western, well, it's Case Western Reserve, it was Case then, and he could not continue to go to school because of the Depression. So he got a job working in managing a neighborhood dry goods store at that time they had in the various neighborhoods. They didn't have strip malls or anything of that nature. And my mother came to work for him.
Do you, as a child growing up, would you say that your family was just making ends meet, more or less? Did you, were you living a somewhat comfortable lifestyle, or as you look back over your childhood, was it a struggle for your parents to raise your brothers and sisters and you?
I'm sure it was, because everybody was more or less struggling at that time, but I have strong merit. My mother's favorite saying was, you don't have to be, you can be clean, you don't have to be rich to be clean. And so we lived, a very meager life, but I didn't know any different. I mean, everybody was living the same type of life at that particular time.